Good morning, Stampers. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to day 2 of my daily Facebook Lives, where we are crafting with the In Bloom bundle from the January to June mini catalog. Okay, here we go. I'm just finding my video here. All right. So if you missed it, yesterday I created this fun little pennant home decor piece that you could add a photo to, or your favorite quote or a Bible verse, and then use it as a gift, and it's meant to hang on your wall. It's so pretty. It was so simple to make, and you can easily replicate this over and over and over depending on the occasion and the receiver, and use it as a gift. And it's easy enough that you can switch out the pattern paper, the embellishments, and just make it personalize it based on who you're giving it to. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Kim, and another Kim, and Mary Liz, and Joy, and Mom. Welcome. Happy Tuesday, everyone. All right, so yesterday we really focused on these dies, so the pierced bloom dies. Today we're just going to use the stamp set. Now I wanted to point out that this, even though these are available as a bundle, so when you purchase both the stamp set and the dies as a bundle using that product number, you save 10%. You can purchase them individually, obviously, and these are meant to. Okay, I use two different words. There's coordinating dies and there's complementary dies, and this is how I describe them. Good morning, Alice. Good morning, Zena. Coordinating dies cut out the stamped images. This is how I describe them. So coordinating dies cut out the stamped images. Complementary dies, they complement the stamp set. So they aren't necessarily coordinating. I mean, they do coordinate because they've got a similar style, but I wanted to point out that, see, Mary Liz, if you're watching, I haven't noticed if you're watching yet or not, but I've got my little pieces in a Ziploc baggie today. Okay, so these images, if you look at the stamp, it's not exactly the same, or the die is not exactly the same size as the stamp set. So even though these do coordinate, like they're very similar in style, like the same shaped flowers, just the sizing is different. So I would say it's a complementary die rather than a coordinating die. So that's the same as the image that I'm going to use today, this floral image. There is a die that looks like it, but you can see that it doesn't really quite, the die doesn't quite fit. And same with this one. There's more petals on the stamp. Okay, so I do want to point that out. If you love the dies because you love the piercing, you can also just purchase the dies as well. Okay, all right, so I wanted to point that out. And another tip for you, yesterday I shared that all the leftover pieces that I have, I usually store in a little Ziploc baggie that I leave in the front of the stamp set. And this trick I learned from somebody that I follow who isn't a Stampin' Up demonstrator. But she, you know, the plastic sheets on the top of the stamps that you peel off, and then they're really difficult to get back on, lined up perfectly with the bottom. If you just put a piece of Scotch tape at the top, look at this, you can just peel it off and then put it back down, and it lines up. So easy peasy, and then you don't lose this top piece either. So there's another little tip for you that I learned just recently. All right, Susan just ordered the dies. Yay, I love these dies. And you know, one of the things that's great about them is they can be used on their own. You do not need the stamp set in order for you to be able to fully use these. You know, whereas a lot of stamp sets, yeah, they have some dies that you can use on their own, but some are really meant to coordinate with the stamp set, so you feel like you have to have the stamp set as well. So this is one of those ones where you absolutely do not need to have the stamp set in order to be able to use every single one of these dies. Okay? All right, so today we're going to do a bit of a fun fold. It's a simple fun fold and one that I turn to very often. And there's a couple different ways that you can do it. Let me grab I'm gonna grab another piece of paper here so that I can show you, because I've already cut down my cardstock. So I'm gonna show you a couple different ways that you can do this. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Mary Liz. Good morning, Tracy. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it down to 4 1/4. And then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay, so one way that you can do this is you can move this down to 2 3/4 and score here. And then fold and fold. Okay, so you can open it up like this. Today I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So I took this piece, I'm going to use a different color, and what I did was I rotated it, I scored it at 5 1/2, and then I trimmed it down to 8 1/4, and I got this piece. Okay, so let me move this out of the way. And let's fold these, and I'll bring them both in. So this is going to give me the same look. It's just not going to be quite as almost interactive, and it's going to create just a little bit less bulk. Okay, so see, we're going to end up with exactly the same shape. This is the one that I'm going to do today that's just going to open like this. This one's fun because it opens like this. Okay, so this is kind of two different versions of the same card. You can also do it like this. This one's a little bit more difficult to do like this, but this one you could definitely do portrait style. All right, so there's two different ways that you can do this card. Set that aside. Okay, so my base ends up being 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Okay, and then I've cut a piece of soft sea foam that's just slightly smaller than this panel, and I've embossed it using the Painted Textures embossing folder. I love this embossing folder. This, I tell you, I really hope that this carries over because it is absolutely stunning. Look at that, it looks like thick smears of paint. I just love it. It's great for cards with flowers, it's great for masculine cards, it's great for kids cards, it works for any style. Okay, and you can use either side. So I'm just gonna add my adhesive on here and stick this onto my front panel. I'm getting close to the end of my seal. I always find that it gets a little bit tighter the closer to the end of the roll that you get. Oh, and I cut this exactly the same size. You know what? We're going to go with it. Okay, so this little piece of soft sea foam, no, because it's not quite right. This would be, if you wanted it to be the same size as this panel, it would be 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. I want to have just a smidge of a border without the embossing on it. So I'm going to trim it down just ever so slightly. Let's see if we can do this here. 2 3/4. So we're going to trim it down to 2 5/8. This is going to stick to this. And then we'll go this is 4 1/4, so we're going to do 4 1/8. Okay. Peel this piece that's stuck on here off. And then we're going to end up with just a subtle border. And it's very subtle. So you can see you just have that solid cardstock, just that tiny little bit of solid cardstock without the texture on it around the edges. That's your new favorite tool or favorite folder too, Tracy? Oh, I love it so much. Okay, so now I've got a piece of Whisper White, or not Whisper White, Basic White, and then a piece for the inside and my envelope. We're going to do some stamping. Now, because these are solid stamps and they're photopolymer stamps, they don't have the foam underneath for that little bit of cushion. So anything that is solid like that, like this, I always like to use my Stampin' Pierce mat. So I'm going to use this and do my stamping. Okay, we are going to bring in a scrap piece of paper, and this piece, we're going to start with this larger flower, and I'm going to use some petal pink. You ordered the folder, Kim? That's awesome. You're going to love it. Okay, so I'm going to take my floral image and I'm going to stamp it twice. Once on here, and I should have a scrap piece here, which I don't appear to have. Let's grab, oh, here we go. I've got a scrap here. Okay, we're going to take another flower and stamp it onto this scrap. Okay, we'll set that aside. And now on this piece, we're going to stamp 2 more flowers. So this is going to be on the inside. And I'm going to go a little bit off the edges. There. And let's do right here. Okay, and then we're going to do the envelope. Since we've got the stamp out, we might as well do it all. Okay. All right, so we're done with this flower. Now we are going to bring in some soft sea foam. So our color palette today, look at these colors together. Soft sea foam, petal pink, and rococo rose. Are those not beautiful together? Rococo rose is one of the 2019-2021 in colors. So that means it's going to be soon retiring. So you'll definitely want to make sure that if you have the ink pad, to pick up the refill and maybe even an extra package of cardstock so you can continue to use it. And remember that everything is bumped up almost a month this year. So normally our new catalog releases at the beginning of June, which means that the retiring list usually comes out towards the end of April, beginning of May. However, this year it's a little bit different. So this year the new catalog starts the beginning of May. So the retiring list is coming out at the end of March. So usually when the retiring list comes out, everything is available while supplies last. And some of these things sell out really quickly. So you definitely want to check on your in colors and make sure that you've got those refills before they sell out. Okay, so now I'm just adding the stems. And we'll go on here. We'll add our stem here. And we're going to add another stem right about there. And then we'll bring in our envelope. I know, Rococo Rose is so pretty. This one's kind of stamped. We might have to have this one kind of going. This one's blowing in the wind here. Okay. All right, so now we've got our stems. We're going to leave that green out. And I'm going to bring in this small little piece again. And what I've done is I've got 2 stamps on here. And these are these little things here. I don't know if this is what they're actually intended to be used for, but I'm using them as blades of grass. So I'm just going to stamp at varying heights. I'm going to go all the way across and stamp some grass. All the way across. So I'm just repeating it. By doing 2, it just saves some time. All the way across here. Okay, and I'll do some shorter ones kind of in here where there's some gaps. There we go. So now we've got some grass for our flowers to be growing from. And what else do I need here? Okay, that's it for the green. Now we're going to go to the center of our flower. So I'm going to use Rococo Rose. And we're going to use this tiny little flower. And I'm going to stamp it in the middle because I think it works for a great flower center. So we'll do that one. We'll do this one. These two. Photopolymer makes it so easy to just kind of stamp in the center. You can see really easily. Okay. All right, and we have one more thing that I want to stamp. So there are some great greetings in this set as well. I'm not going to use that. Okay, we don't need the envelope, we need this piece. So I am going to use the greeting that says, "You are amazing." I'm going to use some Memento ink. I know the grass is so cute, isn't it, Mary Liz? I love it. I think it's a nice touch. Okay, so let's make sure this is straight. So for those of you who are joining in a little bit late, we are creating with the In Bloom stamp set today, and we're doing a simple fun fold. Okay, Leanne asked if I can see her comments. I must have missed something. Yeah, I can see your comments. Leanne, did you ask me a question? Did I miss a question? If I miss something, Leanne, type it again. And I'll go back afterwards too. I always go back and kind of scroll through to see if I missed any questions. Okay, so now this piece, this flower, needs to be fussy cut. Of course, I've gone ahead and done that so that you guys don't have to watch me fussy cut. And I'm going to take my bone folder, curl up the edges just a little bit. You can see how the Rococo Rose, this was stamped a couple days ago. So the Rococo Rose will lighten a little bit. It looks more pink rather than orange after it dries a little bit. And then this is going to go on with a dimensional. Actually, let's use two since these are little mini dimensionals. So if you guys are enjoying, I mean, we're only on day 2 so far, but if you guys are enjoying these daily videos, make sure that you comment below, because I will be giving some of the projects away at the end as well. And if you want the kits, if you want to craft these projects, create these projects, then if you place a $60 order, I'll send you all the bits and pieces, all pre-cut and ready for you to create. All right. Yeah, you know, Leanne, I'm wondering if there's a glitch with Facebook or something, because for the last few Facebook Lives that I've been doing, there hasn't been a problem on my end, but what I see is I keep seeing the same people. Like it comes up when somebody joins in and is watching, it'll say like Leanne Rosenberger is watching. And sometimes I'll see that repeated multiple times. And I'm not sure why that is. So, but I can see your comments. So thank you for sharing, Susan. All right, so I've added this focal point to a piece of Rococo Rose, and then that to a piece of Petal Pink, and look how pretty these colors look together. Love, love, love them. Okay, and then this piece is going to go on here. The trick with putting this on is you want to be generous with your adhesive, but you only want to put adhesive on this portion, because if you put adhesive all the way across, you're going to stick your card closed, and we want it to open like this. So I am going to, first of all, let's position this about where I want it. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over And I know that I need it about here. And I'm going to use 3 strips all the way down. And we'll just center that. So Susan, you're going to try to catch up? Good. All right. Yes, I understand. I mean, having lives during the day, I know a lot of people work during the day, and so it's a little bit more difficult to watch during the day, but you can always go back and watch the replays if you can't, if they kind of get lost on Facebook, because I know sometimes they do. You can always go to my blog, which is just stampedtreasures.com, and you'll find them there because I post photos and a link to the videos there, or you can visit my YouTube channel as well. So the only ones that don't get posted anywhere else are the ones that I do in my VIP group. Yes, very springy. I agree, Zena. Okay, so there we go. We've got the outside and the inside. Now we need a little bit of bling, right? So I am going to use the Elegant Faceted Gems. These are the same gems that I used yesterday. So yesterday I used the petal pink ones. Today I'm going to use the white ones. So I'll take, we'll take one of these. I like using my paper piercer to kind of get underneath and get the adhesive right off of there. And that bling just finishes it off. So there we go. So this is project number 2. So today we focused on just the stamps. Yesterday we focused, oh, let's bring the envelope in so you guys can see the envelope. Yesterday we focused on just the dies, and I did incorporate the DSP yesterday, and I will incorporate the DSP, I think, on most of the other projects that I create. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, so this is what we've created so far. And I've still got lots more to share with you. So be sure to join me again tomorrow. Thank you for sharing, Leanne. Come back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and I will be back and craft with you again using Stampin' Up's In Bloom bundle. And if you'd like to receive these card kits, I will post a link to my online store. If you place a $60 order using this host code, not only do you get a free celebration set, because celebration is almost over, but you also get the pre-cut supplies to create these, and that includes the DSP as well. All right, so thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.